Hello and welcome back to Studio 37. In celebration of National Poetry Month, yes, April is National Poetry Month, I wanted to share with you one of my favorite children's authors who is not only an author of wonderful books like The Giving Tree, he has a few compilations of poetry, and he also wrote songs and he wrote a play as well. And he's from Chicago, so an Illinois native by the name of Shel Silverstein. I'm sure many of your parents are well familiar with the work of Shel Silverstein. I have selected 5 poems I want to share with you before I lay out our assignment for the week. The first poem comes from the book Falling Up. This is the most recent work of poetry, collection of poetry written by Shel Silverstein, and this one is pretty humorous for its play on words. The poem is called The Furniture Bash, and you see there's an illustration of a clock punching. The hand of the clock pinched the foot of the bed, so the foot of the bed kicked the seat of the chair, so the seat of the chair sat on the head of the table, so the head of the table bit the leg of the desk, so the leg of the desk bumped the arm of the couch, so the arm of the couch slapped the face of the clock, and they pinched and they punched and they banged and they knocked and they ripped and they flipped and they rolled and they rocked, and the poor old dresser drawer got a couple of socks. There was some sawdust and springs when I turned on the light after a horrible furniture fight. And that's the truth, no lie, no joke. That's how all your furniture got broke. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. The next one, it's the illustration that's really the humorous part of the poem, rather than the play on words. Something Missing. This is from the book A Light in the Attic. I remember I put on my socks. I remember I put on my shoes. I remember I put on my tie that was painted in beautiful purples and blues. I remember I put on my coat to look perfectly grand at the dance. Yet I feel there's something I forgot. Yet I feel there is something I may have forgot. What is it? What is it? And I hope you guys can tell what he might have forgot. And then the last few are there's a little bit more. There's a little bit more of a moral or a message that some of these poems have. We'll start with the silliest one and work our way towards the heaviest one, if that's okay with you. This is from his first book of collection of poetry. Now, Shel Silverstein had quite a varied career doing lots of interesting work, but this is probably what made him the most famous. He did write songs like the Unicorn Song, which is in this book, and he also wrote A Boy Named Sue and Cover of the Rolling Stones, songs that are fairly famous. This one's called Sick. I cannot go to school today, said little Peggy Ann McKay. I have the measles and the mumps, a gash, a rash, and purple bumps. My mouth is wet, my throat is dry. I'm going blind in my right eye. My tonsils are as big as rocks. I've counted 16 chicken pox, and there's one more, that's 17. And don't you think my face looks green? My leg is cut, my eyes are blue. It might be instamatic flu. I cough, I sneeze, I gasp, I choke. I'm sure that my left leg is broke. My hip hurts when I move my chin. My belly button's caving in. My back is wrenched. My ankle sprained. My appendix pains each time it rains. My nose is cold. My toes are numb. I have a sliver in my thumb. My neck is stiff. My voice is weak. I hardly whisper when I speak. My tongue is sealing up my mouth. I think my hair is falling out. My elbow's bent. My spine ain't straight. My temperature is 108. My brain is shrunk. I cannot hear. There is a hole inside my ear. I have a hangnail and my heart is... What? What's that? What's that you say? You said today is Saturday? Goodbye. I'm going to play. Oh, Peggy Ann McKay and her stories. See if you guys can figure the moral of this story. Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout would not take the garbage out. Maybe you can relate to some of this poem. See it all piled up there? Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout would not take the garbage out. She'd scour the pots and scrape the pans, candy the yams and spice the hams, and though her dad would scream and shout, she simply would not take the garbage out. And so it piled up to the ceiling, coffee grounds, potato peelings, brown potatoes, rotten peas, chunks of sour cottage cheese. It filled the can, it covered the floor, it cracked the window, it blocked the door with bacon rinds of chicken bones, drippy ends of ice cream cones, prune pits, peach pits, orange peel, gloppy gumps of cold oatmeal, pizza crusts and withered greens, soggy beans and tangerines, Crusts of blackened buttered toast, grizzly bits of beefy roast, the garbage rolled down the hall. It raised the roof, it broke the wall. Greasy napkins, cookie crumbs, globs of gooey bubble gum, cellophane from green bologna, rubbery, blubbery macaroni, peanut butter caked and dry, curdled milk and crusts of pie, moldy melons, dried up mustard, eggshells mixed with lemon custard, cold French fries and rancid meat, yellow clumps of cream and wheat. At last the garbage reached so high, finally it touched the sky, and all the neighbors moved away, and none of her friends would come and play. And finally, Serious Cynthia Sylvia Stout said, "Okay, I'll take the garbage out." But then, of course, it was too late. The garbage reached across the state from New York to the Golden Gate, and there in the garbage she did hate. Poor Sarah met an awful fate that I cannot right now relate, because the hour is much too late. But children, remember Sarah Stout, and always take the garbage out. The last poem I'm going to read is my favorite Shel Silverstein poem. This one is kind of silly, and it's also really serious. It's called The Generals. Said General Clay to General Gore, must we fight this silly war? To kill and die is such a bore. I quite agree, said General Gore. Said General Gore to General Clay, we could go to the beach today and have some ice cream on the way. A grand idea, said General Clay. Said General Clay to General Gore, we'll build sandcastles on the shore. Said General Gore, we'll splash and play. Well, let's leave right now, said General Clay. Said General Gore to General Clay, but what if the sea is closed today? And what if the sand has been blown away? A dreadful thought, said General Clay. Said General Gore to General Clay, I've always feared the ocean spray, and we may drown. It's true, we may. It chills my blood, said General Clay. Said General Clay to General Gore, my bathing suit is slightly tore. We'd better go on with our war. I quite agree, said General Gore. Then General Clay charged General Gore as bullets flew and cannons roared, until alas, there was no more of General Clay or General Gore. So that one has a pretty strong message, I do believe. Your assignment for this week is a fun one, I hope. You get to choose. You can either be the author, the illustrator, or both. I sent home 3 or 4 poems by Shel Silverstein. Many of them had illustrations. So you can either write a new poem to accompany one of the illustrations that I sent home, or you can take and draw a new illustration for your favorite Shel Silverstein poem, whether it's one I sent home or one you find in a book elsewhere. Or you can write and illustrate your own poem. The choice is up to you. I can't wait to see the work that you do. Please email it to me or send it in with a remote pickup. And stay safe, stay warm, have fun, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care of yourself out there. And if you get a chance, someone else as well. Children, remember Sarah Stout.